Hello again and welcome back. Today we are doing another project which I have lovingly dubbed Big Pants. I wasn't sure what else really to call them, but basically this is going to be a very gathered pair of pants that kind of looks like a skirt. Now I originally made this pair of pants back in February, March area to go with my Ciri from The Witcher cosplay, the Netflix version, not the video games, and I just really loved them. I don't usually finish my costumes with the same level of care and completeness, I guess, that I finish clothing that I'm going to wear for myself because I have to wash them less often because I'm wearing them less often. So those I couldn't really wear, but I really liked them and I wanted a wearable pair. Then it got warm, wasn't in the cards. And then a few months ago, Rachel Maxey made a video about sewing some autumn clothing where she made a very similar pair of pants. And that reminded me of them and made me really want to do this again. So, take two. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. I would really appreciate that, and let's get started. So here's the fabric I'm using. It's from the Joanne Platitudes collection. And then I also have matching thread and a zipper. And our first step is going to be to cut out some pockets. I'm just doing this literally by eye. I'm just laying my hand on the fabric and cutting around it. And then I'm folding that in half to make them nice and symmetrical. And then I use those for a pattern to cut a second pair. After all that was cut out, I then laid my fabric out flat and using the pattern, cut straight along the side to make my edge even. And this piece that I'm cutting off will also double as a waistband. And there's my waistband. The rest of the fabric was divided into 4 even pieces to make up the pant legs. And to make these pant legs patterns, I am using a pair of pants that fits me well and laying it out on the fabric and using that as a guide for how to cut out the crotch bits. I'm making this smaller. I'm giving myself a lot of seam allowance and making it smaller than it usually is because similar to a circle skirt, I can always cut it bigger. I can't really add back to it. And I made sure to do that with both the front seam and the back seam, since those are different, to make room for your butt. And once those are all cut out, I pinned my pant legs together so that I knew where they were going to end up and trimmed them so that they were even. and then we can start seaming them together. I'm starting with the pockets, so I'm doing all 4 pockets with a normal seam, then flipping it inside out and completing the French seam. And then once the pockets are all seamed in, I can proceed with my normal French seam. I will link the tutorial that I use for pocket French seams in the description, because it's really a pain and it's kind of stupid to figure out on your own. And then somehow I managed to lose my footage of sewing the crotch seam. But I just put them wrong sides together and sewed a normal seam, leaving the top 8 inches or so open for my zipper, which I then just basted closed so that it was easier to handle. And now I am ironing all of my seams flat. I regret not doing this before doing the crotch seam, but you know, too late. I'm saying crotch too many times in this damn video. And then, since that crotch seam, there it is again, is slightly curved, I'm using my tailor's ham to make sure I can get it pressed nice and flat to make my insertion of the zipper easier later on. And then we can prep my waistband. I am just ironing this in half the best I can. This fabric does not hold its shape super well, so I'm just doing this as a guide to myself. And then I'm gonna sew it closed and iron those corners. And then once all of that is done, I am marking the center front point of my waistband as well as the 2 side points. So the fourths, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And that will just give me a guide for how I'm going to gather it down. And then we can proceed with that. I'm just using a hand needle, doing this by hand. I don't know why I can't wrap my head around doing it by machine, but it really just doesn't make sense to me, so I'm just gonna do it by hand for the rest of eternity. So then, once that is all gathered down, we can use those 4 pins we marked in the waistband to line it up with the front and the side seams and get that all pinned down into place. And then we're going to go over the 2 trillion pins that are in this waistband very carefully. Once that is secured, I am just flipping the other inside edge of the waistband under and pinning that in place so that it can be sewn down with stitching in the ditch. I talk about this method a lot. I use it for finishing so many things: waistbands, button plackets, sleeves. It's just my go-to. It makes a nice clean finish that is not visible from the outside, or if I mess up then it's a little visible, but mostly not visible. And it's just one of my favorite methods. And then that gets stitched down as well. Once that is all done, I can pin my zipper in and get that stitched on. And then we can hem all those pant legs, which I pinned off screen because it was a weird process of trying it on and putting my pant leg back down and adjusting. It was just a whole mess. And then finally, the last step is to finish that crotch seam. So what I'm doing is I'm hand felling this seam down on both sides. I'm not doing the traditional felling where you have both of the pieces of allowance on one side because this fabric was a little bulky and I was worried about how that would end up altering the final look and comfort. But I am just folding my seam allowance under towards the stitch line and then whip stitching it down. And here are the final pants. It was very difficult to show off the pants aspect of them, so please excuse my goofy little clips, but if you liked this video, please like and subscribe for some fun winter themed content that will be coming out soon. Okay, bye!